King Kong has nothing on me. Hey there, today I have an unboxing video, and in this video I'm going to return to Mile High Comics and open up an order that I placed with them. It was soon after my self-imposed, self-inflicted hiatus was lifted, and I immediately went to my records and started pulling up comic books that I felt were underpriced or had potential value if they were to actually be in high grade, higher than the near mint condition that Mile High Comics listed these books in. And I think one of the things that the hiatus sort of taught me, I think I kind of already knew this, but there are a lot of times where I will find a book for sale online, and it could be an eBay auction or just a book that's listed for sale in a buy it now situation. And there's no single like person or anyone that's like giving me FOMO or feeling that I have to hurry up and complete the purchase other than myself. But there are times where I feel like if I tell myself this, if I don't buy this book right now, I'm going to miss out. And I think that that's probably the purest definition of FOMO, but it's a little bit of a different angle for me where I'm thinking that these aren't books that necessarily people are talking about or that they really maybe even want at all, but I feel like the books would be a good investment. It would be good acquisitions, books to add to my collection. And in a way, it's almost like, it's not that I'm stumbling on these books, but it's almost like you find them online and you just don't want to pass them up. And a lot of it has to do with online shopping, yes, but you can think about it too. I don't go to conventions often, but when I do a lot of the circling around. I'll even do this at comic book stores too, and it's sort of like a nervous walk around the convention floor, and I might approach a table and I might see a book that I like, and it could be a wall book or something in the bin, and I look it over and I'm processing the numbers in my head and how much do I want to offer for it and so on, and I'll just say thank you and I'll put the book back. I'll say I'm going to think about it, and then I just walk and I think and I circle around. And then I start to feel like if I keep walking around the floor and I keep thinking about this comic, by the time I go back, it's going to be gone. And more often than not, it will still be there. And that's the same kind of experience that I typically have online. And I wasn't looking to prove this theory, but just sharing this as kind of one of these other lessons that I learned by taking a break. And my break was roughly about 6 weeks from purchasing comics, just completely taking a break just to deal with the comic books that I own, appreciate them, run them through a little clean and press or whatever it is that I wanted to do, get more organized. And it was a better use of my time instead of just constantly buying, receiving, and hoarding books. But now that I'm back on track with what I normally do, which is all those things, I went back to Mile High Comics, and lo and behold, the books that I thought were going to be completely snatched up and purchased right away at moment's notice were still there. And I went ahead and added the books to my cart, checked out, and the books arrived. I'm going to unpack them and take a look at them and see what kind of condition they're in. And I also want to compare these books that I ordered from Mile High against a lot of the books that I got from Quality Comics in terms of condition. And it's like, the argument is, well, I'd rather buy books that end up being an 8.5 to a 9.2 for a few bucks instead of paying mile high prices for comics that end up in about the same condition. Like, why would you pay between 5 and 10 times more than you could just at auction? And again, it's the experience I've had with these sources to know that there are really good chances that the near mint books from Mile High will end up being more in the 9.2 to 9.8 range. So I want to open up this order, kind of prove and test out that theory. I've already proven the theory that not only can patience be a virtue, I think it's healthy. And I think that there's just less pressure on myself to spend money and acquire books. Again, I talk about like taking possession of a comic book and making sure that even if you haven't unboxed it or dealt with it or graded it, slabbed it, whatever, at least you've acquired it. It's in your possession. But I'm also thinking it's fine if it just stays at Mile High for another month or two. It'll just be there when I get to it. And I was able to do that with these handful of books that I ordered. So let's get to the unboxing, take a look at the books. I want to grade these as well. Again, just kind of showing full transparency in not just the acquisition of the books, but really what is the condition of each book that we're dealing with. Is it truly near mint? And if not, how far away from near mint are these books? All right, here we are. Here is the order from Mile High Comics that I placed in early March of 2023. I always pick FedEx. Once you cross the threshold for free shipping, you have the option to select FedEx or USPS. Always pick FedEx since there's no additional charge. Never had any problems with it. So let's go ahead and get this order open up. All right, here we go. Now, I don't know if you can tell quite yet, but if you compare this top item, let's say, to the others, you can see that this is a little bit oversized. And let's get started here with the first book, the first item. And this is Marvel Super Special Magazine, number 18, or just Marvel Super Special 18. And this is the Raiders of the Lost Ark official comics adaptation. Now, I don't typically buy magazine style books. I do have quite a stack that really needs to go off to CGC, but I really don't deal with this very often. This is technically the first appearance of Indiana Jones in comic book form, and that's where I'm kind of saying it like a question, like, is this comic book form? Is this a magazine? I mean, it says magazine right there, but what I like to do as well is when there's ever like a question, and I don't want to say controversy, I don't think people are really heavily debating this right now, but when there's an affordable solution to the debate, which is if someone's saying that this is the book to have, and then they say, no, it's this book to have, and there's kind of an argument back and forth, if it's affordable, I just get both. I don't really need to pick a side here. So I also own the comic book form for Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones, but this is my very first Marvel Super Special, and actually my very first magazine style back issue that I've purchased from Mile High. Now, I will say that in general, my initial assessment is very similar to a comic book. It has a very much like a comic book feel here, a little bit more like a graphic novel, I would say. So it's magazine style in terms of size. So just at first glance, I do see some wrinkling at the top here. It would benefit from a press. I'd have to figure out how to get this book pressed, but already this corner here is probably too worn out that it wouldn't get a 9.8. But I'm just grading it as I would a comic, and I feel like even with this corner also being soft, probably take a hit right there and be in the 9.4, 9.6 range. This corner also breaks color, so definitely not a 9.8 there. The back looks okay, a little bit dirty, so probably just give that kind of a wipe down. Probably a little bit dirtier than I would like to see, especially around the spine. So I don't think this is even a 9.4, just the general wear and tear, the dirt. A slight stack increase, probably negligible, but it's still there. So I don't know. I hesitate just to kind of give it the 9.4. I feel like conservatively, I would want to give it a 9.2, a little bit of color rub as well. And again, I'm just grading it as if I would grade a comic book. So I'm kind of just thinking about the same sorts of issues that I would see with a comic in terms of color rub. The spine looks, I would say, pretty exceptional. There's no real ticks or bends that I would say, so that's impressive. And I don't know, again, with the magazine style, if you get more of a generous grade because the spine is in good shape, even if the corners are soft. So I'm not sure if this is a 9.0 versus a 9.4. And in that case, I'm just going to give it a 9.2 just to be safe. And then now I need to find a magazine size backing board and bag to store this in. But I think this is in good shape. I don't know if I would truly press it just to get a few of those wrinkles out at the top. It's very, very slight. So this is probably one that I would mark for a clean and press. I don't know how much of a bump it would really get beyond a 9.2. Like, would it truly get bumped to a 9.4? It's borderline, I think, somewhere. And again, to be safe, I'm just going to drop it to a 9.2. All right, so there we go. There is Marvel Super Special number 18, a 9.2 clean and press, the first comic book appearance of Indiana Jones. The next book I ordered is Amazing Spider-Man 202. I cannot get enough, apparently, of Amazing Spider-Man. It was definitely a book that I wanted to buy because I am a big believer that the Bronze and early Copper Age books at Mile High Comics are in some of the best condition and have some really nice potential and are in general in better shape than the books that I got from Quality Comics. So let's take a look and see if it's true. It has a pretty severe stack increase that goes all up and down the entire length of the book. The corner up here is a little soft, but not too bad. But even the way the stack increases already, I'm thinking a 9.6, borderline 9.4. The spine looks pretty strong, though, otherwise. I don't see any color breaking ticks, which is nice. Just the corners are it's just borderline from being something that would drop the book in grade. Let's turn it over. And you got the Star Trek motion picture ad that picks up lots and lots of ticks, but as far as I can see, it looks okay. There are a few hairline ticks. We've got one here, a second one there, a third one. So now we're probably falling out of the 9.6, 9.4. Also want to make sure that that was either me or there were already fingerprints on the book there. This like semi-gloss page is picking up fingerprints, so I need to be careful with that. So I will give it a clean and press indicator as well, just to make sure that the book is wiped down to get rid of the fingerprints. But I would say that the book seems very, very solid in terms of color and structure. I like the wrapping on it, but the spine ticks in the back along with the stack increase here, and I'm just giving it one more once over just to see if I see anything else. I don't see any other creases on the book. So very strong, I would say, potential, but I really can't get it above a 9.2 either on this. That has a little bit of curling right on the corner. I don't think it's color breaking, but just there's a good angle right there, just kind of what I'm talking about, right on the edge in the corner. That would have to be buffed out too. So I think, again, as is, we're probably talking about a 9.2. This could potentially max out at a 9.6. Those color breaking ticks are really on the back only, not on the front. They're not completely wrapping around, but definitely a good book to work on, I think, if I were to want and improve it. And again, what is the difference here? If it's like, okay, you just bought a 9.2 from Mile High, weren't you getting 9.2s from Quality Comics? Yes, but if you look, the difference is that trade looks solid white. So very little work needs to be done. It's just that the stack increase is so severe. So a lot of that will come out with the press. So I'm more inclined to get books like this because it's not that the clean and press process is fully automated or anything like that, but with it just needing to kind of be smoothed out along the spine and on the back upper corner, a lot of that just happens naturally with a press anyway. There's not a lot of additional work that would have to be done to get a grade bump on a book like this. Even from a 9.2 to a 9.4 would be nice. Those other books that I was getting that was really, really dirty, had borderline foxing, that's where it gets to be a question of what's worth your time. Is it really worth your time to really scrub a book like that? Or to just deal with the fact that it's just a 9.0 and it's just the way it's going to be, and it's just not worth the trouble to move it up to a 9.2. All right, so there we go. Amazing Spider-Man 202 from 1979. A great early Punisher cover there. And like I've said, the Punisher showing up ever since his first appearance in those early Spider-Man books, always very, very collectible. And again, strong colors here. I just noticed again, the orange in the trade is really solid. No fading or anything there. So definitely a book that I would set aside where I would say this would be worth working on. Next up is King Kong #1, another adaptation. This is the official adaptation of the King Kong fantasy classic. And why did I pick this up? Am I a secret King Kong fan? I am not, but I am a collector and someone who appreciates Dave Stevens. I've started to amass a kind of a small collection of high-grade Dave Stevens covers. And when I was doing my research to figure out what are some other covers that maybe aren't as obvious or well known, this book came up and I started tracking it, and I saw that Mile High had listed this as a newly acquired book. And again, then just looking at the numbers and the potential, everything kind of started to add up and make sense to give it a shot and acquire it. So let's take it out and see what condition this is in. We've got an old flimsy My-Lite-like bag from Mile High. I love trashing these and replacing it with something brand new from BCW. And let's have a look. Lots of wrinkling, kind of what you would see in a brand new Marvel comic. You can see there a lot of the wrinkles. The unfortunate piece for me is this staple looks really pushed. If you can get a good angle. So you see the cover coming down and the staple looks like it's pushed in. So that's tough. A lot of times you get dinged. I know I got a Amazing Spider-Man 210 with staple pushing back as a 9.0, but I don't see any tearing around the staple. So that's a good sign. Same thing down here. It just looks like it's just super tight. But what a great, gorgeous cover from Dave Stevens. And of course, now I see, unfortunately, what the problem is. It's down here in this corner, this fold right here. And I believe it breaks color, unfortunately. You can see that. So that's not a shadow or anything in the light. There's a line there that actually goes across the corner that breaks color, so that's tough. And shoot, there goes my chance. Just a completely blunted corner. So this could come out with a press, but I just don't think, even if it did, it would essentially smooth it out, but it would still be very, very noticeable that something had happened to that corner. Up in the top right, we also have a little bit of a crease happening right on the top edge, and that goes and then starts to cut across right in there. Just sort of flipping through the book, full black and white on the inside here. And don't think you can get the limited edition collector's print anymore, but full yellow cover on the back. And actually now looking at this corner too is blunted. So I didn't notice it on the front so much. Front actually looks okay. So I'm thinking this one is probably down at least a 9, if not an 8.5 right now. And I think probably that's where I would leave it, as an 8.5, just because 3 out of the 4 corners are needing some attention here. You've got the push staple. You could kind of make the argument of an 8, but I don't see anything that breaks color. There's nothing that breaks color other than that corner here. So that's too bad. Beautiful book, gorgeous art from Dave Stevens. Happy to have it, but will probably be on a short list of books that I would want to upgrade in terms of condition. All right, now rebagged in a fresh bag and board, King Kong #1 with art by Dave Stevens here. I did give it the official 8.5, but just a press, no clean necessary. And the last book is Wolverine, #88. This one actually got a ton of attention when Ryan Reynolds did the surprise video announcement for Deadpool 3, and Hugh Jackman was in the background kind of coming down the stairs, and he asked Hugh if he'd want to be in Deadpool 3, and he's like, yeah, sure. And then, like, right at that moment, seconds later, this was the book that everyone went to. This is the first battle between Wolverine and Deadpool. And I didn't have a copy. I kind of avoided this one for a couple of reasons. Number one, I thought it was way overhyped. I just, the whole like first meeting concept, I think that really holds true in like Golden and Silver Age, maybe some very specific Copper Age, but I don't believe it's true for every comic that a first meeting or first battle is all that meaningful. And the second reason is I don't really particularly like this cover. I always thought, like, I couldn't tell if Deadpool was facing backwards or forwards. The anatomy of like the shoulders and everything, it almost looks like he's facing the other direction, but his head is facing this way. I'm usually a fan of Adam Kubert, and he's got Wolverine up there skewered and so forth. And Wolverine doesn't look too bad, but also the colors I didn't really particularly like. This sort of dark blue gradient sort of, and then the red, black, and yellow. But let's open this up and see. I'm not seeing any spine ticks through the bag, but we'll have to take this one out and take a closer look. So again, all these books were listed in near mint condition, and we definitely have a little bit of corner wear right there. And that's definitely beyond what I would say is acceptable for a 9.8. It's almost like even part of the corner just looks chopped off. It's so soft there. So there is that. The spine looks pretty good. I don't see any ticks up or down the spine. One non-color breaking one right there, but nothing that breaks color. And if you kind of take it back, you don't even see that tick at all. Down here at the bottom, right between the D and the I, got a little bit of a hairline tick that slightly breaks color. Hard to see. There it is. And then again, a borderline corner in terms of softness and wear. Everything else looks pretty good. Nothing else on the right side of the book. Down at the bottom, that looks strong too. Nothing breaking color there, so that's good. So I'm leaning towards 9.6 on this one. Just giving the back cover a once over, also looks good. Double checking the spine on the back. A little bit of something right there. Where did it go? Yeah, right in there. Just a little bit, almost like a little bit of a color rub. Same right in there. Just like a pixel sized or a speck of something. I don't think that's anything too terrible. I think I would just lean on a 9.6 for this. I don't know if there's much that can be done, so I don't think this book's worth pressing. I think it's probably just a 9.6 as it is. And I think that that's what I would settle on, is no need to clean and press this book. One thing I noticed, you could see in the light, like right in here as I sat it down, there's a line going here, and there's that little cardboard piece that's sitting there. So maybe it would help just to put it through a very, very quick press just to get this out. And you'd have to make sure that the inside is pretty well secured there. And this is something that CGC might know about or might take a look. A lot of these books are, I don't want to say damaged, but at least creased. And you kind of see on the bottom too. It's almost like you could see that the white little cardstock piece that's attached on the inside has just kind of over time worn through that front cover. So now I'm thinking probably a 9.4 with a press just to get some of that creasing out. So there it is, Wolverine number 88, the first meeting / battle of Wolverine and Deadpool. I went ahead and gave it a 9.4 with a press just to get some of the general creasing out. I think this book probably maxes 9.6, but still, I think a great book. If you're a Wolverine fan, if you're a Deadpool fan, great book to have. I do think that the book has been probably overhyped, so definitely wait to get it at a good price. King Kong number 1, disappointing there. Probably the most disappointing out of the order to get that in an 8.5. ASM 202 is probably the one that I would be willing to work on next, giving it a 9.2. And the Raiders of the Lost Ark, first Indiana Jones in comics, Marvel Super Special number 18. Also a little disappointing, but I think you get a little bit more forgiveness with those magazine-style books, so interested to see if that would be worth grading as well. So let's take a look at what I paid for these books and see what the potential is for the books if I were to get them graded. All right, here is that order that I placed with Mile High Comics on March 8th, 2023. I was invoiced $175.60 for those 4 comic books. And I had to pay $6 insurance, and then I distributed the $6 across all 6 books. So when I'm looking at the total cost here in column 7, if the math is correct, it should equal the invoice price, which it does at $175.60. Now, that's a lot of money for 4 books, and we just went through them, and I will tell you right now, because of the condition that they're in, right? I still believe in the books, but because of the condition that they're in, that $175, that hurts a little bit right now. I don't know, and I'll look at the numbers here with you, but it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like I really got my money's worth, but let's take a look. Let's dig into the numbers a little bit. So the total cost, including the insurance for each book, is here. And then I have in column AA, the raw value. And from a raw value perspective, according to the cover price fair market value, it looks like I did add value, but it was really carried specifically by the Marvel Super Special 18 and a little bit by Wolverine 88. Now, cover price is reporting Marvel Super Special 18 as $159 raw. And that is for their near mint condition raw book. And they have near mint as 9.0 to 9.4. So I'm just going to leave it at that with that book, magazine, comic, with that getting a 9.2 grade. I feel like, okay, well, that's within the range. That's what it is. I only paid $39.90 to acquire that book. So I felt like that was a really nice ad. I'll be honest that the driver of this order was Wolverine 88, and then I was trying to find a few books to go with it to unlock the free shipping and kind of make the order worthwhile. And then it kind of added up real fast and figured, okay, these 4 books at $175, that's enough. let me go ahead and make the purchase. Wolverine 88, I spent $57.50 to acquire that book. According to cover price, it has a fair market value raw of $67 for a $9.50 value add. The other two books were considered losers at $40.70 to acquire Amazing Spider-Man 202, a loss of almost $16, and then King Kong #1, acquiring it for $37.50 as it is a $23 raw book for a loss of almost $15 raw. I've said this many times, but I don't buy books from Mile High Comics to keep raw. My intent is always to try and acquire them as books that I would grade, more so than any other source. That's how I look at it. It's kind of how I justify the additional cost. So if we're thinking about what kind of values do these books have if they are graded, if we take the grades that I assigned the books, we'll see more of a realistic value. But prior to placing the order, in terms of like what sort of triggers or reports do I look at that says these are books to buy, I'll show you, because I expect near mint to be around 9.4. And if we look at the CGC values of these 4 books in a 9.4, we'll see that they all have pretty decent value. This is why I spent the $37.50 on King Kong #1, for example, because if I were to get it a 9.4, it's worth $70, $71 for ASM 202. Wolverine 88 jumps to $120.67, and Marvel Super Special is $215 in a 9.4. So if we look at the potential CGC value add, it has the potential to add $170 of value into my collection on top of getting the $175.60 back. So that's kind of my way of thinking, is as identifying these books that have a significant margin between the cost and the 9.4 value after subtracting the fees. So the column AB is after paying any shipping or CGC fees to get the book graded. But again, really driven by 2 books, Marvel Super Special 18 and Wolverine 88, getting some nice value add if I were to get those books graded. Now, just for fun, I like to see what kind of ultimate potential or ceiling are we dealing with. If these are all 9.8s, like how did these books get on my radar? It's because of the potential to be a 9.8. I'll be honest, I don't think any of the 4 books have a chance at a 9.8. Wolverine 88 being the closest, I believe that maxes at 9.6 just because of that top corner. It's just the damage to it is just too severe. But just to kind of see what kind of values we're dealing with, King Kong #1 at a 9.8 over 300, Marvel Super Special pushing 500, ASM 202 1300, and Wolverine 88 at 475. So those are really strong high values for just 4 comic books, getting close to 2300 if they were slabbed. So that's where I kind of sort of justify the 175. Not that these are going to turn into 9.8s all 4, but the potential for one of these books to hit a 9.8 would have covered the entire cost of the order, and I would have essentially gotten the other books for free. It didn't work out this time. What I'd like to do is put in the actual grades, and let's talk about the reality. And I'll go ahead and plug those in. And King Kong #1 from 1991 in an 8.5 only has a CGC value of $30. So that one's not even worth getting slabbed at that condition. Marvel Super Special 18 in a 9.2 at 109. That one I could consider sending in as is. I do think that probably needs just a little bit of a press, and it could potentially get that 9.4. But even at a 9.2 at 109, a nice value add of $36.42 into my collection. ASM 202 at a 9.2 is only $44, so that would be a loss if I wanted to send that one in for grading as is. And Wolverine 88 in a 9.4 has a nice value that we already talked about at 120.67. I think that that can be pushed to a 9.6 possibly. But even in a 9.4, if I'm not able to get it, it would still be a positive value add. But it is an entire, once again, a break-even situation here if I were to get these books graded. The Quality Comics approach was really more around getting books that were probably considered to be maybe filler or press and clean candidates with a slight grade bump, but maybe not really worth your while to get professionally graded. And then when I was looking at the raw values, it ended up being kind of a break-even situation again. And here we are with Mile High. The intent is to buy books that maybe have slipped through the cracks in terms of grading or identifying proper condition to see if those could be a 9.8. And then looking at the 4 books in the condition that I assigned, if I were to send those all into CGC with those grades, it's another break even. So now, it has me wondering, like, I still believe in my my philosophy of buying low when the slabbed value is high, but what's happening is the condition is not meeting expectations. If I were to give all of those books one grade bump, then yes, I would see a slightly better return on the CGC value. But then you have to factor in your time and materials to get a book pressed. Even if you're doing it yourself, you have to figure out, are you going to be buying the materials, and what does it actually cost you to press a book? It's probably negligible. It's probably maybe $1 or $2 at most. It could be even 50 cents. It depends. So maybe you don't really need to factor that in. But I'm talking about a $2.67 loss with grade bumps on all 4. Maybe it goes up to a $30 or $40 gain across a $175 investment. Yes, if you could multiply that and sustain that, 50 or 100 times, then you're doing okay. And I do ultimately feel like this is okay. It's okay to feel like you're in a break-even situation. Ultimately, as I look through my collection and I go through my back issues and I just sit and enjoy the books that I have, it is nice looking at the grades and seeing those 9 point somethings or an 8.5 that could be pressed. I like having the high grade collection. I don't really want these books in like a 6 or a 7. I think that's where it becomes problematic, and you've got kind of a inventory and storage situation on your hands where you're just kind of storing books that don't have a lot of value that you have to just deal with at some point. Whereas I do know that these books, if I needed to move them, I could move them raw and at least get my money back, maybe even a little bit more because of the assigned grades that I gave the books. And if I did want to get them professionally graded and clean up a little bit, I would be able to, again, at least get my money back, maybe make a few dollars for my time if need be. And again, this is the ultimate goal. I'm not necessarily looking to flip, but as you look towards an exit strategy down the road, you are dealing with a collectible and you want to make sure that there is some monetary value with these so that at the very least, you're kind of able to get your money back so that you can enjoy the hobby to its fullest with the littlest or minimalist investment possible. Thanks for watching, happy collecting, and see you next time.